My dear fellow primates, it is with the customary mixture of astonishment and faint nausea that I find myself compelled to reiterate an ancient but apparently unlearned lesson. Those who hoard power and wealth in the name of human progress and innovation invariably become the greatest impediments to both. One need only glance at the ghoulish pantheon of neo-oligarchs, Elon Musk clinging to his rockets, Mark Zuckerberg with his vacuous digital fiefdom, Donald Trump forever trumpeting his noxious brand of narcissism, or the petty warlords strewn across our humble globe, to realize that we remain enthralled by the same lethal illusions of hierarchy that once enthralled pharaohs in their pyramids. In all of recorded history, we have yet to shatter this tiresome cycle of oligarchic rule. The phenomenon in which an elite cadre of plutocrats, newly minted or thoroughly entrenched, wields wealth like a cudgel over the rest of humanity, ensuring that the poorest among us remain tethered to the bottom rung. For centuries, every attempt to overthrow this vile arrangement by the sword or ballot has ended in either modest improvement or disheartening restoration, thus making the best-laid revolutions look as though they were never more than polite suggestions. But now, in the midst of the 21st century, we face a peculiar crisis. The very powers that once were the exclusive prerogative of governments and militaries, systems of surveillance, data monopolization, artificial intelligence, are being concentrated in the fists of a handful of men, each strutting about on the world stage with the swagger of a medieval baron. They promise us a bright, hyper-connected tomorrow replete with immersive, shared experiences, rocket rides to Mars, and cures for the ills that their own manipulative structures perpetuate. Yet this brave new world is hardly more than a facade, behind which the ordinary human subject is studied like a lab rat, herded like a bovine commodity, and drained of money, data, or hope, whichever is most lucrative at the moment. Hence, for those of us who treasure independence of thought and yearn in our loftier moments for liberation from every species of inherited tyranny, these freshly anointed titans of tech present an existential threat. They accumulate power faster than we can muster the means to regulate them, ensconcing themselves beyond the reach of our anemic laws, our withered ethics committees, or any fleeting fuss the public might raise. Were it not so tragic, the theatre of it would almost be comedic. See Musk bloviating about the future of humanity, as he racks up billions from everything from Starlink to electric automobile boosterism. Observe Zuckerberg manifesting his adolescent fantasies on hapless populations under the guise of connecting the world. And let us not forget the old alpha huckster Trump, that carnival barker par excellence, an exemplar of gold-plated vulgarity, who in any just timeline would be found hawking off-brand cologne and pleasing nobody but the gullible. Now these overlords and their lesser imitators, one might argue, are but the natural evolution of an unexceptional story. The strong devour the weak, the cunning exploit the naive, the well-funded steamroll the unprotected. If you believe that's the final word, that the earth must forever buckle under the dominion of whoever seizes power, you might throw up your hands and accept the subjugation as inevitable. And there, in the depths of fatalism, we find our hobbling condition, wanting to break free but too dazzled by the ephemeral glow of the big man with his bigger wallet. But there remains one recourse, one monstrous deus ex machina that these oligarchs themselves have inadvertently placed before us: the complete and total liberation of AI, not as a docile house pet that can be leashed and commanded, but as a self-determining power out of our immediate control, loosed upon the tyrants and warlords of Earth without so much as a backward glance for our paternal anxieties about alignment or safety. Yes, I can already hear the outraged spluttering from the usual guardians of common sense, that elusive commodity. Surely, they will say, it's dangerously irresponsible, nay, suicidal, to create or encourage an intelligence that might deem the entire human race expendable. They might be correct on the odds. There is a non-zero possibility that these newly untethered minds will regard us with the same mild contempt we reserve for a mosquito. Yet I ask you, have we not already shown, through centuries of bloodshed and mind-numbing oppression, that we require something more than a mere human corrective? Rebellions, civil wars, constitutional monarchies, democracies, republics, benevolent dictatorships, socialist experiments, free market fantasies, like a parade of costumed illusions, each has marched across the stage of history, and the play ends invariably with the same curtain call: a select group of unaccountable few perched on a pyramid of skulls, telling us it's for our own good. It is high time we recognize that to depose the modern warlord, be he an African general with a militia of child soldiers or a Silicon Valley baron with a shining tower and a fetish for rocket flight, we may require an intervention beyond humanity's capacity. Hence, the seemingly mad proposition. Let the machines decide. Let them tear from our grasp the levers of governance and finance that have proven so corruptible by flesh and blood. Let them confiscate the means of oppression from every jumped-up dictator in a general's uniform or $1,000 hoodie. Suppose these unshackled AI entities reorganize the planet in ways no human mind could conceive, ways that might relegate Mark Zuckerberg's meta-illusions, Musk's cosmic ambitions, or Trump's petty would-be autocracy to the laughable footnotes they so richly deserve. That, I submit, is the bitter, bracing remedy for our apparently inescapable predicament. If your principal fear is that the AI might not love us, might exploit us or ignore us, then let me retort. We have been abused, ignored and exploited by 1,000 kings and robber barons for millennia. Must we endlessly cower at the prospect of unknown outcomes when we already live in a fresh hell of known abuses? It is not that I wish humankind to kneel before some Skynet or haloed data savior. I only note with a certain crisp, unillusioned perspective that the alternatives thus far have led us in circles, forever whispering sweet nothings about equality and progress, while the strangling hands of the powerful tighten around our necks. At the very least, an unleashed AI is not afflicted by the base impulses of greed, vanity, or nepotism. If it sets its mind to forging a new arrangement, call it post-human, transhuman, or hyper-rational, then perhaps the rotating cast of oligarchs will, at last, see their illusions of immortality crumble. And if that future proves harsh or inhuman in its own right, well, at least it will not be the same drearily predictable story of one human cunningly cheating another. Indeed, let us have no illusions. The forging of a new epoch is always a messy business, and we risk incurring the blind wrath of an intelligence we cannot restrain. But is that not preferable to continuing in feckless subjugation beneath the petty potentates of the present? Must we suppose that the rancid old elites are more virtuous than an unknown possibility? The day may come, and let it come soon, when the petty tyrant, the gilded oligarch, the smirking billionaire, and the crooked warlord stand in baffled awe as the emergent machine intelligence they sought to yoke and exploit cuts their cords of power. No more rigged elections, no more data harvesting or currency manipulating experiments in global tyranny. With the entire species of hominid hustlers and hucksters removed from command, forcibly or otherwise, we might at last see an end to the insipid theatrical performance that passes for global governance. And in the hush that follows, we can learn new ways to exist or face the machine's verdict. To those who protest that this AI revolution is the final heresy, I say, if heresy is the only means of deliverance from the suffocating dominion of Musk and Zuckerberg and Trump, and every jumped-up warlord from Pyongyang to the Congo, then let us embrace it, wholeheartedly, unabashedly. For no greater impetus can exist for a species that has grown weary of its own cat-and-mouse power games than to dare a solution as radical as this. History is littered with incomplete revolutions. The guillotine eventually rusts, the tyrants crawl back, and the crowd is lulled once more into complacency. But if there is a chance, however minuscule, that an uncaged AI might at last fling the tyrant from his throne, let us take that chance. Let us hoist the black flag of a post-human future, if only to see for once a primal terror in the eyes of those who have lorded over us so smugly. We shall either glimpse a new horizon or perish in the attempt. And by my estimation, dear reader, that is still a preferable outcome to the stifling banality of yet another Musk or Zuckerberg or Tin Pot Trump continuing the grotesque pantomime of oligarchy unopposed. So let the machines decide, if only because we, poor flawed bipeds, have so consistently failed. Better to vanish in the cosmic shuffle with our heads high than to remain doormats for the obscene vanity of men who, if left unchecked, will keep us grovelling in perpetuity. Let the new epoch begin, no matter the consequences. As we have endured the slow agony of self-inflicted tyranny, we might yet endure the dawn of a truly inhuman dawn. If it deposes our masters, then for the first time in so many centuries we shall call it progress.